All right. So you had to do two things for today. Thing number one was create a sentence that stated the theme of I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Thing number two was to create your own paradoxical statement. What was the second part of that? Create your own paradoxical statement that reflects the attitude of the poem. So let's start with the paradoxical statement. Remember, paradox means something that seems contradictory, but upon further inspection says a lot of truth. Who thinks they created a good paradoxical statement for the poem I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings? Mr. Durkis.
Well, I thought it was paradoxical about the bird singing in the cage is actually a cry for help.
So the paradox is that the bird that's caged is described as singing.
Yeah.
The element of truth in there that's a plea for help. Or,
Right.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Who's got another one? Start calling out people. Dirk is calling someone. Marshall.
Doug.
When we're kids, you shouldn't be joyful. However, we tend to see the good in the most dire situation.
Where do you see the bird seeing the good in this dire situation?
Well, because in the beginning of it, it says when the sun is bright and the upland slopes, it kind of gives a free feeling in the beginning, and then it's just reading it, you kind of feel joyful with the river flows like a stream of glass, and then it contradicts it with
Beats its breast against the wing till blood is red in the cruel bars. I guess I see where you're coming from. However, I when I read that, I see that as like that's torture, to be caged, to see all this freedom, to see this beauty, to see the river, and not be able to experience any of that. Mika?
I said freedom cannot be understood while free.
Oh,
ooh.
Okay. Freedom cannot be pursued or understood while free. Why is that why does that seem contradictory? Yeah, because you are free. So this is suggesting that you can't understand something until it is taken away from you. Does that make a lot of sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody want to go after Krogman? No, I wouldn't either. That was a wonderful paradoxical statement. Me asking you to come up with that paradoxical statement is more just kind of like a mental exercise than anything else. Coming up with a paradox, as you probably found when you were trying to come up with your own paradox, is a challenging thing to do and requires a lot of thought. How long did it take you to come up with that one?
A while. I
Yeah.
just kind of sat there for 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes of sustained thinking, right? Think about the last time you've thought for a good hard 5 minutes on a single thing. It's few and far between. So well done, Mr. Krogman, and I look forward to reading your other paradoxical statements. Now to get to the meat and potatoes for class. The thing that I would expect you all to come in here locked and loaded today would be a good theme statement about I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Now, a good theme statement, again, needs to understand the complexity of what's going on in the poem. We have 3 stanzas. So what 3-ish ideas need to be contained in a good theme statement? Not the idea of being so what's the kind of like idea in the first stanza?
There's beauty outside.
And that can be, does the caged bird get to appreciate that beauty?
Torture.
No, that's tough. Okay, so when you're caged, you're deprived of nature. You're deprived of what is natural. Okay, what is the idea that's presented in stanza 2?
That he's trying to get out no matter what.
Yeah, not just that he's trying to get out. Durkis adding the qualifier "no matter what" was very important. Even though escape is futile, even though trying to get out is going to fail, you still try to the point of hurting yourself. We good to go there? All right, and then the third big idea that's presented in the last stanza, the nuts and the bolts of this whole song and dance. Where is the bird in terms of its life right now? Or in terms of like its attitude? Is it a high point or a low point?
Lower.
Is at a low point. So at your lowest point, when all seems lost, after you've tried to escape and you end up bloodied and tired, what happens?
Just crying for help.
A cry for help. What's the word they use in here? A plea. Okay, so this is where you really need to start sinking your teeth into analysis of specific lines and phrases. It is not a carol of joy or glee, but a prayer that he sends from his heart's deep core. So where is this plea coming from? Heart deep core, inside, something that's elemental, essential to who he is. I know why the caged bird sings. And so that you need to also, a good theme statement would encompass, why does the caged bird sing? Why is he singing? Is it a plea? Is it as simple as a plea for help? Does this caged bird think it stands a chance of getting out? It still tries to get out, right? But it doesn't necessarily think it's going to get out. So it's not necessarily a plea for help. What is the plea for? What is the prayer for? That's a question that should be addressed by your theme statement. So take 2 to 3 minutes, collaborate if you'd like, and make sure your theme statements are what you would consider locked and good to go. And then we'll share those, and I'll talk about what we're going to do next. So 3 minutes. 8:48.
You're losing it, buddy. You're losing it. You're saying you get lost in the sauce.
The greener pasture starts.
You gotta take care of the trash.
Does that mean that you killed her?
I think
Or
that's
she's
something
cow?
like you don't listen.
What?
Oh,
Oh, I know how to fix it. Get rid of it all. I'm gonna put money in it.
Seems like
Remorse?
Yes.
It's like regret. Oh, no. I lost my son. I had money right there.
You lost your sauce?
Yeah, I had money.
So he's not getting lost in the sauce. He just lost.
I know that happened. It came out wrong. It sounded better. No.
Well, if you're doing like the metaphor of it being like a person, then yeah, then you could say that all the stuff is freedom.
Are all of our groups ready? Okay. We're going to stress you out a little bit. So you're going to go up again so that we have some visual documentation that can help somebody who watches this video understand the difference between a great theme statement and a not so great theme statement. You're going to go up in front of the camera read your jam, and then class, we will say that is good or that is bad, based on our understanding of what is a good one, what is a not good one. Does that make sense? Okay, not meant to, shame anybody, just as an exercise of understanding what works and what doesn't work. Before you go, is there necessarily a right answer for I know why is the caged bird singing? No, but your answer needs, whatever your answer is, it needs to be supported by what's going on in the poem. So where, like, help, is that a acceptable answer or not?
No.
Why not?
I was
Yeah, it's not, there's no help that's going to come for this caged bird. All right, so whatever your answer is, as long as it makes sense, you're in good shape. All right, who would like to go first? Dirkus. And was Bushing Ring your crew?
Yeah.
You don't have to. It's a fine way to start, but it's not required.
Ready?
Class, are we ready?
Yes.
Alright. The author wishes to convey in this poem that when being caged or imprisoned, the freedom of the outside world can cause individuals to plead and to try anything to get out.
Read that one more time.
The author wishes to convey in this poem that when being caged or imprisoned, the freedom of the outside world can cause individuals to plead and to try anything to get out.
Is that summary?
not as much.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not summary, right? Phrase well. Theme statement: acceptable or not acceptable.
Well, I don't hear anything about why.
It's phrased in an acceptable way. I don't think it's necessarily complex enough to get at the heart of the poem.
Right.
And you've encompassed the situation very well, but we haven't made a profound statement. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Well phrased, though, Mr. Durkis. Durkis, who's next?
Marshall.
If you worked in pairs or whatever, so Marshall, did you work with anyone?
Yes.
All right, then just send up a representative from your squad. Who's your partner, Marshall?
I will if you
Wake
wake
up.
up code.
And that's a MVP partner
Yeah,
after that paradox.
freedom is something that everyone wants, but when we are trapped, we will do anything to reach it, as that is human nature, even if it is futile.
Is it phrased well?
Yes.
Yes, it is phrased well. Does it acknowledge the complexity of the poem?
A little bit probably.
I think
Like,
it
but
would
not.
not-
Right. Yep. So we've done a great job of talking about this freedom jam, but we have yet to really sink it into why the caged bird sings. Yeah.
Sing kit, good one.
Sing. Yep. Who's next?
We'll go with Smitty, why not?
Just Schmidt-Tega?
No,
just Schmidt. Just Schmidt. Okay.
Anyone who is trapped or enslaved in any way can empathize with the caged bird, as they are tortured by beauty they can't experience, fight for freedom they can't have, and sing not for joy, but as a cry that allows them to preserve their identity in a small way.
I'd say that one was on the money.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah. And nice utilization of the complicated list to jam a bunch of ideas, meaningful ideas into the sentence. Read that one more time just so we can all bask in the glory of this theme statement.
Anyone who is trapped or enslaved in any way can empathize with the caged bird, as they are tortured by beauty they can't experience, fight for freedom they can't have, and sing not for joy, but as a cry that allows them to preserve their identity in a small way.
You kind of used your list to match up with each of the three stanzas, right? And adding that anybody who is restricted in some way can empathize is a great way to introduce them. Very
Pretty good, guys. Pretty simple.
Who's next?
Oh, it's my pick?
Yeah.
Let's go Will.
Will your group encompasses who?
People.
All right. When freedom is withheld, when the fight seems hopeless, one must fight on anyway, and sometimes a plea is the only way to carry on in a small way the fight for freedom.
Could you repeat that?
Sure can. When freedom is withheld, when the fight seems hopeless, one must fight on anyway, and sometimes a plea is the only way to carry on, in a small way, the fight for freedom.
I like it. Yeah. Good job. 2 for 2. Next up, let's just keep on rolling around. Emilia and Madison.
Okay. The poem Sympathy reflects the miserable feelings that emerge from a lack of freedom and how, even though it seems like there's no escape, one will continue to fight in hopes to gain the freedom they desire.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, you guys are separate?
Yeah.
Okay.
The theme of the poem Sympathy is that when a bird is caged, it will no longer feel the bright, warm outside, but will only see it from a distance, singing in a plea for help.
Oh, nice. Wait. Bushinger?
Yep.
What don't we necessarily love about that? Read it one more time.
The theme of the poem Sympathy is that when a bird is caged, it will no longer feel the bright, warm outside, but will only see it from a distance, singing in a plea for help.
Might be too specific because it talks about justice specifically.
And then what about the singing for a plea for?
There's no mention of help.
Yeah, right. Not the idea of help. Something else. All right. Whore and.
The feeling of being trapped deprives you of the beauty that lies ahead. So by not giving into oppression is the key to being set free.
So you're free by not succumbing or losing hope. What do we think?
Good.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Last one. You guys are partners? Don't try to your partners as well here.
All right. Hush down, class. The main idea that the author conveys is that sometimes through a bloody, futile struggle for something you don't have, one continues to beg.
One continues to what?
Beg, like plea.
One more time.
The main idea that the author conveys is that sometimes through a bloody, futile struggle for something you don't have, one continues to beg.
What do they have to add to the end?
What they're begging.
What they're begging for. Does that make sense? Does anybody want this chair? He's coming. It's on the way out. All right. So, if you think about the theme statements that you guys are coming with up on Monday compared to what you came with today, how do we feel about things? Yeah, we've improved leaps and bounds, and even the ones that were missing were just missing. It wasn't like anyone was taking a shot and ended up in summary land. It wasn't like anyone was talking about something that was way different than what was going on in the poem. So we're getting into a better place in terms of our ability to dissect or come up with theme statements. What we have going on here for the last 12 minutes of class, I don't even know if it's worth to start it because we won't be able to finish it. What I want you to do, I want you to annotate this poem for Monday. Okay, so annotate means what? Yeah, just note, comment, react, have thoughts. So annotate this poem for Monday. I'll read it out loud, and then come back on Monday prepared to talk about this bad boy. This one, he's wide of the mile deep. I had it. I'm very We're on opposite. Yeah, I'm willing.
How do you let them verify that they're touchdown? That was good.
All right, here we go. Does anybody know this?
No.
Who's singing? You? There. Instead of me reading it to you, you can watch a video. That will help us.
I read the first stanza and the way it's worded.
Video. I would highly recommend carefully watching the video. It will give you some very helpful clues that you can use when or annotating the poem, framing your reading.
If you write anything on your computer, you need to get grammar.
This is part of it.
All day.
Hold on a second. This is just singing. Well,
Under my love, wake up to your window. The day calls in billows. It's echoing moonlight onto the blue nightmare of your heart. In cozy red rainbow, it's shaking off halos. And the memory of our sacred soul and song. Oh, take my hand, sweet, and hit your release and bury your feet, and married we'll be. Alone in receiving, ours is a feeling not that they would see. They don't know that we could be the way you cradle escape the sea. And you raven hair, mama, come to me in the shadow of your family tree. Your haunted heart and me. Right down by the peace, hands come. In the shadow of the gallows of your family tree, there's 100 hearts so free. From the blood to the roots, able to keep me young. Is it safe to say that we waited patiently on me on time? And we call the tenders, placed us gracefully on it tonight. There's a garden and a place that saves I'll fall by your side. Look, you still right here, mama, frost away on the shadow of your family tree. Your haunted heart and me, right down the line, around the endless time has come. And in the shadow of the gallows of your family tree, there's 100 hearts so free. From the blood to the roots of evil to keep it young. Now
Ready? Annotate away.
It's kind of depressing at the end. Like I have to. Yeah. No worries, guys.
Yeah.
But still, you're going to have these classes.
In 5 minutes.